Something else that you mentioned, just like spinning off that, is that your brain health is normally built off of three core dimensions, which is doing, thinking, and feeling, right? So can you go deeper on that and then just tell us like why each part is important for a person's overall brain health?
Sure. I
Yeah.
think there's many different definitions out there floating around brain health. So I kind of like to think of this one as the basics because this gets to the core functions of the brain and how we can adapt and respond to actions and lifestyles and habits. And probably the most common thing people think of as we're talking brain rot and brain health is
Yeah.
this whole core domain around thinking, and it involves everything that's our cognitive processes. So we hit on some of those big ones with the idea of brain rot, but it's learning, memory, problem solving, decision making. And so we know when we're having a healthy brain, it's supporting mental clarity, our ability to efficiently process information, and being able to adapt. And so that's one of those things that we're striving for with good brain health is having some of those stops in place or just being able to better quickly notice when maybe our brain's going awry or down that rabbit hole of doom scrolling and saying, hey, this isn't the best use of my time, or this isn't where I want my energy to flow. What can I do to stop this now so I can put my time and energy into something else that I would rather be doing? The other big component we talked about with brain rot was feeling. So, this is that emotional element of our health and well being. So, the tools that we typically would use to support that is our stress management, emotion regulation, and our overall resilience. So, that ability to bounce back. So, throughout the day, we know our emotions ebb and flow, can be like a roller coaster. I think for many of us, if you watch TikTok videos or if you're watching them on Instagram or Facebook, you can go on that roller coaster. I'm just watching some videos back to back, depending what your algorithm and your feed can look like, and you might already be on that resilience as well of what you're seeing or what you're just going to choose to skip over and the type of content you're not wanting to engage with versus what you're engaging with, and finding that emotional balance of what is important for you to maintain your mental well-being in navigating life's challenges. And I think it's an important skill to also have to find that mental wellness and engagement with social media. What are the tools and strategies that you have in place to have a healthy relationship with social media? Because it's a part of life for a lot of people, especially for younger adults or people that have grown up with social media being a part of all of their lives. I was kind of on the tail end of when social media started to be coming online when I was in
Mm,
college. And so
interesting.
figuring out what that looks like, how do you use it as a tool? How do you use it to connect? And how do you navigate life with social media? And then the last part is that dimension of thinking, feeling is the doing piece. So this is more of that behavioral side of your brain health. So how do thoughts and emotions translate into actions? It encompasses your day to day tasks, your habits that you form. How do you maintain being productive when you're on and engaging in social media and its whole goal is to really buy your attention and to keep you on it longer? That's what it's trying to do as it's building its algorithm and feed, is to keep you engaged. So how are you having good habits? How are you maintaining still being productive as you're engaging in and on off of apps and different social media platforms? And then outside of social media, what are those overall brain healthy lifestyle options that you have in place for yourself? So I like to think the term brain rot kind of challenges all three of those dimensions by putting
Hmm.
them together, where it's you're wanting overall cognitive performance, you want good emotional balance in place, and you want those productive behaviors for yourself, whether it's in your social life, your work life, your student life, your social life. You want to be able to be performing at your best when you can, and especially you want your brain to work for you.
Yeah, exactly. So speaking of, choosing certain behaviors that like are productive, right? If people wanted to build each part of their brain health in the healthiest way possible, what are certain activities that you'd recommend for each component, from thinking to feeling to doing? Like, if you really want to build it in a way that's healthy, what would you recommend in terms of like tangible activities that people can do?
Yeah, I think this is a great question, and there will be a lot of overlap because I think one of the nice
Yeah,
things
yeah,
with a brain healthy lifestyle is when you do one, it kind of has a spillover effect to the other. But I think probably the first one that likely comes to mind is if you're thinking of your cognitive or your thinking ones is lifelong learning, whatever that looks like for you, wherever stage and phase of life you're in. And this can be traditional learning, it could be classroom, it could be continuing education, an online course. This can also be things you learn from social clubs, from volunteering. Just keep learning new and different things. I always like to tell people as long as it's new to you, that will look different than what's new to me, and just keep elevating the challenge a little bit. Some people will want to go out and be like, I'm going to learn a complete new foreign language. That is great. But it can also just be learning new and different skills. It could be trying a new recipe, maybe a completely different food genre than what you're used to eating, but just adding in that learning every day as part of your day to day lives. Keep up on the new learning. We find that's one of the best things for your brain. A lot of people ask about brain games or the brain apps. It's just if you get good at playing like one type of brain game, if people really like the New York Times crossword puzzles, you just get really good at doing crossword puzzles. So you could
yeah.
keep that as like the idea that you enjoy that type of puzzle, but rotate the different types of puzzles or the different types of games. It's just that whole idea. You need the new, novel, and challenging. Just keep doing those. There's a lot of benefits that show like reading or learning like through a podcast, like following your podcast or other ones. Just that idea that you're getting new ideas and new
Yeah.
reading and trying to apply it to your day to day life is a great way to like fill out that thinking category. And if you're thinking about then going to like your feelings and the mindfulness area, it's finding what works for you. So there are many different types of meditations. There's over 100 of them. If you want to try meditation, breath work, mindfulness, simple ways to practice gratitude and telling people thank you. You can do creative expression, however that looks to you. It can be through the arts. It can be through journaling. It can be simply sharing a laugh with someone, but finding ways that
Mhm.
help that emotional aspect to you. And I encourage people, try one that works. If it doesn't work for you, go to the next thing. And if you're talking with other people and maybe it's sharing an experience with them, if they're in a theater play, support them. Theater would not be for me. You wouldn't catch me on stage. I'm always the person like in the back cheering people on. That's how I would show up. But those are the things I probably should try. But I will go support
Mhm.
other people, and I tend to go more inwards on my practices. But it's always great to try new and different things and say, hey, I tried it. It's not for me, but these other ones are options for me. So keep in mind that idea of trying new and different things, and sometimes trying them with other folks or people in your social networks can be great. And then the whole doing piece is probably the things you're already doing every day, but you could probably make a healthier choice or a healthier option. It could be through your nutrition, how you're sleeping at night. If you're sleeping, the recommended, I'm going to guess most of your audience is adults, the recommended
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
7 to 9 hours for most adults of sleep, consecutive sleep. If you're exercising, the minimum 150 minutes of moderate exercise a week. If you're getting good balanced nutrition, if you're staying regularly socially connected to people out in community, I'm thinking about all those ways and those other elements of your day to day lifestyle where you could connect or maybe reconnect. Thinking about your spiritual health could be another area. So think about all the things you're already doing day to day and checking in. Are those well balanced for you? Is there an area you could improve? I always like to think I could probably make at least one better nutrition choice a day, especially just making sure I'm staying hydrated. We're coming to the end of the summer season. at least where I'm located at, and making sure to
Yeah.
prioritize hydration or even just one better food option a day. So, where can you have little wins and keep building on? So, see where you could have those check ins at to help strengthen each of those dimensions of thinking, feeling, and doing.
Yeah, that's a lot of great information right there. Yeah. Yeah. So basically, when it comes down to the concept of like focusing on your thinking, it really comes down to like challenging yourself, right? Like using your brain in a healthy way and learning. Yeah, because many people think, if they do like, word puzzles and stuff like that, like, I mean, it's not, I mean, like it's much better than doing nothing, right? But, as you mentioned, you're just getting better at that one specific game. Like you're not challenging yourself to learn new information, which is really the key when it comes down to like, learning and using your mind in a way that's really efficient, right? So yeah, lifelong learning, courses, reading, novelty challenge, and then feeling. This is a part that a lot of people ignore because not many people talk about this concept when it comes down to having a swift and like really efficient brain, right? And then you mentioned like just focusing on activities that kind of give you peace and a sense of joy, right? From like breath work to meditation, gratitude, creative expression. That's something that's pretty interesting. I think that'll help a lot of people as well. And then again, coming down to touch, with your peace and emotion. um, and then you talk about doing. So this is basically when you're like action oriented, right? From like focusing on things that help you on a um, you know physical level, staying in contact with people, and just being active with the world, right? So I guess these are all the main three things that we're looking at. Now, is there like, for example, if people want to know, maybe one or two activities that hit all three of these, right? Just so that they're being as efficient as possible, what would you recommend if you can?
One, that's a great challenging question. So I will tell people we have on our website, we have some infographics. So they're free to download. There is one of how you can achieve brain health in less than half your day's time, including while you're sleeping. So they can always check that out if you're looking for, from the research, the time intervals of the best way to invest your time. Even if you only have 30
Mm,
minutes a day, where the science says your 30 minutes should go, based on the brain health. So those ones are available.
wow.
To accept your challenge, I'm going to say the two top things to do would be have a brain fitness routine and have a physical fitness routine, because the physical fitness will kind of cover the mind, body, spirit health. We know moving the body, however that looks for you, even if it's gentle movement, will still benefit the mind, body, and soul. And I encourage everyone, because we have that idea of what physical fitness looks like, to have some type of
Hmm.
brain fitness routine. And it can be on that cognitive engagement piece that includes the lifelong learning, but it can also include that restfulness piece where it can include a couple minutes of breath work paired with that brain engagement. So it could be, 5 minutes of reading, 5 minutes of breathing, and your 10 minutes of your workout. So thinking of those little
Mm.
intervals, but to think that you need the same types of routine for the brain and the body. And of course, the brain benefits from moving the body. So it kind of has a double win, but I would say keep those two fitness routines solid.
Okay, okay, yeah, that's pretty. Yeah, that's really interesting. A brain fitness routine.
Yeah.
That's pretty new because yeah, because like most people think of it, of like physical fitness, right? We all have,
Mhm.
like a pretty simple idea in our mind, like whether it's walking or running or just going to the gym, going through a certain routine. But yeah, brain fitness routine, and then like I'm going to assume maybe 45 minutes to an hour per day, half an hour. Like, how much would you recommend for the brain fitness side?
The research shows 20 minutes, 20 minutes a
Oh,
day, and
that's
it
not
doesn't
bad.
have to be consecutive. It could be broken up. So, two 10-minute intervals. You could start your morning with like breath work and reading in the same way at the evening. You could wind down with that brain engagement piece and breath work to end your day. But the research shows about 20 minutes a day is a good investment of your time.
Okay, yeah, that's not bad at all. That's not bad at all. I mean, that's like 10 minutes in the morning, 10 minutes at night, and then you'll have that part covered.
And I
Got it.
suspect most of your listeners are probably doing this in some way. It might just be a shift of
Yeah.
intentionality, right? Of just like you said, or reframing it of this is time I'm investing in my brain. Like listening to a podcast, you're learning something new, trying a
Yes.
new recipe, if you're already reading to learn new information, or if you're doing breath work, you're kind of just reframing it a little bit as that new investment to your brain.